Alright, I've been meaning to make this video for a little while. I've borrowed the Milwaukee 18-volt top-handled saw back from a mate. I gave it away to him because I don't personally think it's a terribly good top-handled saw whatsoever. I said I'd do a video for people on why I didn't believe that. Now, I'll start with the caveat that I don't believe that this is a professional quality saw. However, you could be a professional using this. You could be a professional using that. You could be a professional using a Ryobi. You could be a professional using a Stihl. You could be, you could be a professional using a bow saw if you really wanted to be. So this is more a review about the saw than a review about the person, so to speak. Now, the first part is the ergonomics of the thing. You're never going to get a battery saw with current technology to be the same as like a little Echo 2511 or anything like that, or a Stihl 020, because these have to work with whatever size battery you put in there. So you're not going to get these things to be as ergonomic and as balanced as an Echo or the Stihl 020 or anything like that. Because like I said, you've got to have different size batteries fitting these, but this is just shocking, the ergonomics. Now, whether or not you one-hand a saw or not is up to you. I've done it all my life, and I know most people do. If you don't want to, that's fine. But for one-handed use, it is terrible. This horrible little flicky switch, and the balance of it when you're making cuts, if you're a climber at funny angles, is terrible. When you compare it to the Husqvarna is twice the price, but it's twice the saw. And then we'll go on to the pulling the damn thing up a tree. You look at the back of the Husky and where the lanyard attaches. There's little, you can get a branch catch on that. Of course you can. When you look at the back of this, it's like dragging an anchor up the tree. I just don't think they gave it any thought. I don't think they gave it to a professional and said, can you have a look over this, what we've designed? Because they've come up with this. The thing is literally, this catches, that catches. It's a terrible design. I know this is designed to fit a 12 amp hour battery or whatever, but the design of this thing is just shocking. You look at a company that's been making saws for years and they've nailed this. I know there's a few problems with it, but they've nailed the design. When you look at this is just like dragging a boat anchor around with you. And then, like I said, this is a much nicer feel in the hand. You can move this around. It hasn't got the balance of a petrol powered saw, but with a great big battery on it. And I think that's a 9 amp hour, that's an 8 amp hour. If that was an 8 amp hour, it would still be twice the battery that this is, because this is 36 volts, that's 18 volts. So realistically, even with a battery that should be twice as, this is 9 amp hours even, so it's going to be even more heavy. This saw is much better in the hand. It's much more, got much more dexterity, whereas this thing, it feels cheap and it feels tacky. It's not a particularly nice saw to use. Cutting speed, it's fine. It actually cuts all right. It's not a problem with the cutting speed. And it's not a problem with the actual durability. This is quite a solid saw. I'm not going to smash it too hard because I've given it to my mate now, but it's actually quite well built in terms of the, it's fairly thick plastic. I know, obviously, comparing apples and oranges here because this thing's twice the price, but well, nearly. But it's more than twice the saw. All right. Next thing we'll go on to is the actual, when I say the cutting ability, it cuts. It probably isn't quite as fast as the Husky, but the Huskies are, it's a better all-round saw. This actually cuts all right. You're not going to pick it up and think it cuts like shite. Actually cuts pretty well when it cuts. However, problem with Milwaukee is these batteries. These are fine in a drill. These are fine in a lot of things, but they're not IPX4 rated. So when you look at them, I'm not even sure it's marked on that one, but when you look at the tool, it says not for use in the rain. Now, they're not saying that just because, you know, you hold on to a slippery wet saw. They're saying that because they're not going to warrant any sort of warranty if you get these wet. And believe me, these do get wet. I've, not this particular one, but I've resurrected a couple of these batteries where they've got wet in the past, and it's possible to bring them back to life some of the time. Some of the time it isn't. But the overall saw is not designed for use in wet weather. It says rain or wet environments, I believe, in the user manual. Someone, I'm sure they'll correct me if it says anything other than that. But yeah, it basically says not for use in the rain. I thought that might be, like I said, just because it might be slippery. But no, it's because the thing isn't designed to be used in the rain. It's not designed well enough for outdoor work. There's no cooling either. So even with a big 8 amp hour battery in it, you do a few chogs, you know, you take a few decent diameter stems off. You know, you're probably talking chogging down a bit of timber like that, maybe 10, 12 inches. You get to a couple of them, a few of them, and your saw overheats. Now, a professional quality saw, that doesn't happen. This thing is IPX4 rated. You can tell because it says it on the sticker. You can tell because it says it on the battery. And there we go. And what makes it even worse for the Milwaukee is these batteries are completely sort of, they're pretty much sealed up. And these aren't IPX4. They're not being cooled by anything. This is a completely different beast. So it's not perfect because the bloody cover comes off all the time, and that's lost. I'll need to get another one of them, but by the by, this sucks in air, cools the motor, blows air out through the battery, out the top and out the vent. I've never had one of these overheat, and I've done a hell of a lot more work, hell of a lot more heavy duty cutting with the Husky. That only managed to last a couple of days and I gave it away. I've had this a few months now. It's gone through this summer absolutely fine. We're in a bit of a heat wave at the moment, so this is a professional saw. Even though it's got vents, it's still weather sealed. That, in my eyes, is junk. So there's my little review on the thing. I mean, there's other bits on it. You know, this is horrible. This fiddly little switch, that's ever so slightly better. Mind you, that jams up sometimes. It is what it is. You know, this has got a constant readout of battery capacity left, I suppose. This one, not a big deal. You have to press it. Yeah, I mean, it cuts all right. That's what I will say. This does cut okay when it cuts. It overheats very quickly. You could probably put a 12 amp hour Forge battery in there, but again, I'm not going to spend money on it because the batteries aren't covered. They're not IPX4. And I did contact Milwaukee and ask them about their outdoor power products. I think the words I used was, are your products suitable for commercial, professional use in everyday environments such as wet weather? And I got the reply, unfortunately, our products are not suitable for your requirements. So, you know, there it is from the horse's mouth. I've got it on an email somewhere. I mean, if they want to comment on the video, I'm sure they won't bother, but if they want to comment on the video and clarify anything, they're more than welcome. But, you know, it's just, I know you pay a lot more money for the Husky, but if you're a professional, you're probably not going to mind it. And let's be honest, that battery is over twice that battery, because that's 18 volts, that's 36, that's pushing out twice the amount. You know, if you're cutting heavy timber and things like that, jogging down, you're far better off, and it's still better balanced in my hands than that. And the battery has a lot smaller capacity. You know, that's 36 volts, that's 18. Yeah, that is basically the saw. I know you could compare it to the Stills and stuff, but I only have that one, and I had that one. It's all right. It's all right as a, you know, if you're a gardener or my mate does the off-road recovery type thing, it's fine for him. But if you're a professional arborist and you're using every day, I would steer well away from that. I'd get probably the Husky. I haven't had much to do with the Steels, but I can't really comment on them. That they're IPX4 rated as well. I'm sure they'll be fine. I'd say this is more of a DIY kind of saw than anything else. And there you go, just to prove that I'm not actually against Milwaukee as a brand. Most of them are fine. I mean, that got wet. I like to salvage that. It's working again now. It's fine now. That would be nice if it was a bit protected from the dust. You've got to blow the dust out of it, but you've got to blow the dust out of any bloody grinder if you're using it. The batteries, when they do get wet, they you tend to see all 4 lights come on at the same time, and they don't work in the tool. Now, you know, I've managed to save a couple of them, so you might get away with it, but I don't think you're going to get Milwaukee warranty your batteries if they get wet, that's for certain. And they do get wet, believe me. I mean, here in England, January and February this year, it rained every single day, so you know, I know what it's like when tools are getting wet. I thought I had a little bit more context. I'm in my little workshop. So the problem with the batteries is there's no weather sealing. You know, you look in these gaps, that goes straight to your terminals. Battery management system, it's completely exposed. Everything is completely exposed. So if you get water in there, and now people say you can dunk them in water. Yeah, it'll probably work. It will probably work if you dunk it in water and pull it out. But what will happen, this is a completely different brand, similar sort of problem though, is it'll end up looking like that within a couple of weeks. I would suggest if you get Milwaukee battery or any other battery that's not weather sealed, these are, I think these are these ones. These are T10 security torques. First thing to do, if you get water inside, just blow it out with compressed air. When you get home, T10 security torques, pop it out, dry the battery best as you can, and spray it with some contact cleaner. You might be able to revive it. Because when I checked, Milwaukee were not warrantying batteries with ingress of water. And you can see why, because that goes in there. Not the best videoing, I know. I'm doing it one-handed. There is nothing to waterproof that. So if it gets wet, I blow it out as best as you can. Leaf blower, air compressor, whatever you've got. When you get home, blow it out properly. Bit of contact cleaner on there. You might be able to revive it. I've revived a few of them. If they get wet and you don't do that, again, this is a completely different brand. I think you call it AG. I think they're rigid over in the USA. You're going to get problems. It's not just them, it's all the brands. This is a Chinese copy of a flex belt. I mean, if you get that wet, just bin that. I wouldn't even bother trying to revive it. Horrible things to work on. By comparison, Milwaukee's actually surprisingly easy to work on the batteries. Tools are a bit of a pig to repair, but their batteries aren't too bad. You can get new batteries. I thought it'd be only appropriate to open up a Husqvarna battery to show you the difference. I tend not to use this one in the climbing saw too much because these have a bit of a habit of slipping out and landing on whatever is below, so I wouldn't really recommend the older style ones in the climbing saw. I tend to use the newer style ones that have got the sort of the additional safety catch. But anyway, for the purposes of showing you why these are rated for outdoor use, all of the battery terminals are potted on a lot of the sort of cheaper gear that's not IPX4, when water gets in, it's screwed. If water gets in here, it tends to just sort of dry off. You might eventually get problems with some of the connectors, but this is obviously a much better design for outdoor work, and you get the advantage of being air cooled. I mean, like it says, don't submerge it in water, but for working in the rain, it's absolutely fine, and a much better design than Milwaukee. So there you go. That's the difference in quality.